Welcome to Off the Record with me, Sanny Ntayombya. Every Friday, I bring a brand new perspective to the week's old headlines. So sit back, relax, and let's get that conversation going. But before we do, make sure you hit that follow button. And now, let's get into the very first headline.
Africans, we need to expect more from ourselves. How have our standards fallen so low? I was scrolling through my Twitter and I came upon a video from a Ugandan named Godfrey Lutaya, who was visiting Gaborone, the capital city of Botswana. Listen to his reaction to a literal road.
I was cycling this morning in Botswana, in Gaborone, and I was mesmerized by what I saw. Look at that. Botswana is not African. Botswana is not African. Look at the order on the road. Just look at the order. No traffic person, no policeman, no army, but just look. Look at the order. Look at the traffic lights. What you're seeing there, those are traffic lights just up there. Those are traffic lights. Just traffic lights. The cars are controlling themselves. Let me just try to, oh my God, look at this.
Let's think about what he was saying. According to him, the order and the working traffic lights proved that Botswana wasn't African. He wasn't showing us a space station or a high-speed railway. He was amazed by roads and working traffic lights. Gaborone is well organized and clean. It does have nice housing estates and well-equipped fire stations. The question that we must ask ourselves is, why must it shock us? The reaction that the Ugandan had in Gaborone is one that I've seen many fellow Africans have about Rwanda and Kigali in particular. They'll post content about Kigali on their social media and caption it with words like, "Look at how organized this city is. Is this really Africa?" If the people who did this were Caucasians or Asians, I'd be less annoyed. At least I could then accuse them of racism or, barring that, ignorance. But the fact that it's fellow Africans saying this, I find it so tragic. How can our standards for ourselves be so low that when we see other Black people doing what they should be doing, we immediately deem them un-African? It should be normal to be clean. It should be normal to have working infrastructure. It should be normal for a citizen to see a police officer and not feel fear. All that is the bare minimum. I understand that there are unfortunately many issues in Africa ranging from war to disease to poor governance. To pretend otherwise is like acting like an ostrich hiding its head in the sand. However, what I cannot accept is the idea that the issues are inherently African. Fellow Africans, don't fall into the trap of thinking that the word Africa equates to all the vices in the world. Doing so is self-hate. You can be amazed at the work that the government of Botswana has done to create a modern society without casting its African, without calling its character un-African. You can celebrate the progress that Rwanda has made since 1994 without calling Kigali's cleanliness un-African. Whatever positive steps that Botswana and Rwanda has made over the years is due to the hard work of their Black African natives. No colonialists came from Europe or America or China to make the two countries work to improve the lives of their citizens. They chose to do that themselves. So, if you want to choose corruption and filth and all manners of bad things, do so in peace. Just don't say that what you're doing is being a true African. You're just being you. Carry your own cross. Don't make everyone else carry it. And one more thing. Can we, as Rwandans and Africans stop celebrating the bare minimum? I get it if we celebrate the completion of big projects like the new Amahoro Stadium. But can we stop being proud that we're called clean? We are supposed to be clean. Filth should not be a condition we accept in this day and age. Now, talking about celebrations, I have no shame to say that I'm celebrating the fact that the government is finally cracking down on the many shanty churches found across the country. The government crackdown, which seems to have begun on Monday, has so far forced the closure of 185 churches in Musanze district alone. 185. According to a report in the New Times, these churches were found not only lacking basic infrastructure like soundproofing and toilets, some were not even registered at all. I know that some religious people will call it an unfair attack on the faithful, but let's remember that these churches have been given 5 years by the government to fix the issues and get their religious houses in order. I think that this issue goes back to the earlier topic, the topic of standards. Freedom of worship doesn't mean that you make people sit in half-completed churches that risk falling down on them. It doesn't mean disturbing neighbors with loud gospel music at all hours of the night. And it certainly doesn't mean preaching uneducated, half-baked sermons to vulnerable and desperate people. That is not freedom of religion. That is not freedom of worship. The same way we need to demand better from our state, we need to demand better from our religious institutions. Thankfully, the government of Rwanda is putting their feet to the fire. Long may it continue. And by the way, can we have a discussion about the fact that there are more churches in our communities than factories? Think about it. The government closed 185 churches in Musanze, a single district. Probably the same amount of churches remain open. So we're looking at about over 350 churches. We have 30 districts in the country. So imagine just how many churches we have in the entire country. They probably number in the thousands. Now, think about how much money they extract from the communities they say they serve. Let's just imagine if the churches were small factories instead, converting milk into yogurt, fruit into juice, and fabric into clothing, the war against poverty would surely be won. There is a reason that Karl Marx called religion the opium of the masses. But maybe that's just a topic for another day. Now, the last topic that I want to discuss this week is about Belgium, or to be specific, Belgium's ambassador to Rwanda. On Tuesday, I learned from the Twitter handle of the Belgian embassy in Rwanda that the ambassador Vert Vermensen was leaving his post in Kigali very soon. To be honest, I wouldn't have given it much attention if he was leaving under normal circumstances, but he isn't. His tenure and departure are not the problem. Rather, what the problem is the entire context of Rwanda's relationship with its old colonial master. In July last year, it was leaked to the media that Belgium had refused to accredit Rwanda's nominee to its embassy in Brussels, Vincent Karega, which was Belgium's right. However, the fact that the government of Rwanda discovered this rejection, not from the Belgian Foreign Ministry, but rather from an article in Jambo News, an online platform run by Rwandan exiles and genocide deniers, says something. Vincent Karega, for those who don't know, was Rwanda's ambassador to the DRC before he was expelled by that government in 2022 when relations between DRC and Rwanda soured. My suspicion is that Belgium refused to accept Vincent Karega's posting because of pressure and blackmail from the DRC. I imagine that what the government of DRC said to the Belgians was, if you accept Vincent Karega, a person we deem an enemy of ours, we shall make your Belgian mining and trading interests suffer. That, my friends, is blackmail. So here is where it gets interesting. Rwanda refused to nominate any other ambassador to the post. And now, because of that, Rwanda's ambassador to Germany, Igor Caesar, is handling Belgium as well. Rwanda probably didn't expel the Belgian ambassador in 2022 in retaliation to Belgium's rejection of Carrega, because it might have been a step too far. There was no need for that. But now that Vermensen's tenure has ended and he's, heading back home, I'll not be surprised if Rwanda refuses to accept a new Belgium ambassador to Kigali until the Vincent Carrega issue has been solved to its satisfaction. So, who will blink first? On one hand, Rwanda cannot be seen as being weak. On the other hand, Belgium cannot be seen bending to the will of a former colony. But and the same people cannot also be seen not having an ambassador in that country, a country it used to rule. So Belgium is between what I'd like to call a rock and a hard place. The ball, as they say, is in Brussels' court. How will they play it? We shall have to see. And that's a wrap for this week's episode. Thank you so much for making it to the very end. Remember to follow us on our social media and to make sure to check out our other podcast, The Long Form with Sanny Ntayombya. It comes out every Monday like clockwork. Hope to have you back next Friday. Have a great weekend.